we're all tied up, and this first set is dead even.
Unbelievable combination.
Wow.
Beautifully done.
What a great spot.
Hello and welcome to the 2025-26 APTA Tour. We're live from the Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus, New Jersey, bringing you the 2026 Ridgewood Classic with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsor, Corient. Tournament support has also been provided by the Ridgewood Country Club and Xenon Paddle. I'm Randy Markey here with Dave Broderick, bringing you the women's quarterfinal with Mihaljevic and Jolene Sutter against Mihaljevic and Camille Townsend. Our chair umpire for this match is Carol Ewertson, and we are getting ready to rock and roll. Dave, welcome to the booth.
Thank you. Yeah, we're here in, like you said, quarterfinal round. Both players played an earlier match today, making it to this quarterfinal matchup pretty easily. Real quick, while the players are out on the court, let's just mention who they are. On the top left side, the lefty wearing all black is Mihaljevic. She's a rackets professional at Essex Fells Country Club here in New Jersey. And her partner is Jolene Sutter from Darien, Connecticut, on the right at the top of your screen. I'm sorry, Camille Townsend. I'm sorry, she's a pro at Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova, PA, and lives in Bryn Mawr, PA. And they are playing at the bottom of the screen. You have on the right side in the white top, the lefty Jolene Sutter from Darien, Connecticut. And her partner on the left of the screen with the blue vest is Mihaljevic from Millbrook Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. She's a teaching pro as well and lives in Stamford, Connecticut. Randy, this match is going to be 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring. And I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I've watched them play a little bit in their previous rounds, and they are all very super talented players. This is their first matchup against each other, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
You got 2 lefty-righty teams here.
Which I think, Randy, it's always interesting because, the lefty-righty could be an advantage if played correctly, and I think the lefty-righty could be a disadvantage if played incorrectly. And what I mean by that is just, with having the forehands in the middle for the lefty-righty teams, if they're not really in tune to each other and playing within a system, you could wind up going after every ball down the middle and just causing some uncertainty. Especially with the lobs, I think they really have to do a good job of, where depending on where the ball's coming from, they kind of have to make sure they have defined roles as to who's going to hit the overheads and who's going to be closer to the net hitting volleys. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And I think at this level, and let me know what you think, but both of these teams play quite a bit together. So I think with the lefty-righty experience together is definitely something that is a benefit if you have some history together playing.
For certain. And I think there's also a function of what's the game plan, right? If you're going to pick on the do side player, that lefty should be hitting the overheads, and if you're going to go to the ad side, the righty should be hitting the overheads, right? That should help keep everybody organized. There's nothing that's more confusing than a lefty stepping into the middle to take the ball back to the ad side and leave that line wide open.
Right, and again, I think, when whichever team or both teams, when they come up with their game plan, again, if the righty's going to hit overheads, well then the left-handed player has to let them hit overheads unless the ball's coming directly over their head. If the lefty's hitting overheads, again, the righty has to let them hit the majority of overheads. The other thing it'll be interesting to see is, curious with the lefty-righty combination, something that I think is very important is, even though you have the ability to hit the ball to either side screen, hitting it back and forth, I think, winds up being a disadvantage for the net team because of all the movement. I don't think people understand that, you know, when the ball goes from one side of the court to the other side, the net team is the one that's doing all the moving. The baseline team never really does a whole lot of side-to-side moving. They might have to do up and back movement, but you know, on the baseline, you really don't do side-to-side movement just because of the screens, just because of the size of the court. So it'll be interesting to see how the two teams come out playing. You notice it is snowing here now in New Jersey. Not super hard, but it is picking up a little bit. I think New Jersey's expected to get maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow, so we'll see if that has an impact on looking up playing overheads.
Well, let's hope that it stays cool enough to stay snow. We're going to be right on that borderline between freezing and not freezing here as the day wears on, which could have an impact on court playability.
Well, we heard the tournament officials before, earlier on, talking about that they were going to start putting the heaters on momentarily, so we'll see how that shakes out for everyone.
So we've got 4 very talented players here on the court. Townsend and Ncube both have kind of big spin serves. They go hard at it. You know, Townsend has great ground strokes on both sides. Both have great hands. And Ncube, you know, likes that backhand roller overhead. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they stay organized and leverage their strengths. And then Mihaljevic and Sutter both very talented. You know, Mihaljevic has big ground strokes on both sides, places both well. And, you know, I haven't really seen Sutter play since her injury. She was injured 2 years ago. But my recollection is she's a very smart player, great lobber, really steady, very patient. Kind of takes her spots when appropriate, doesn't seem to press very much. That's my recollection of her game. So this should be a really good match.
All right, let's listen to Cal Yurtsin announce the players again. Randy, it's no surprise that all 4 of these players played college tennis. So, you know, we know the skills are there. Maybe now it's going to come up to a little bit of more strategy and tactics. Here we go. That was Camille Townsend starting off serving with Ncube and Townsend up at the net. And Randy, we see right off the bat here that Sutter, she's not afraid to hit that forehand. She came out firing. There you see there's that roller backhand a little bit long by Ncube, but that was the shot you were talking about that she likes to hit.
Yeah, and we saw right from the jump that confusion you were talking about with the lefty-righty with Townsend and Ncube, even though they've been playing together for a long time. There were a couple of instances there in that first point where there was some question about whose ball it was. They'll settle in here.
Yeah, starting out, nobody's playing it safe. Everyone's going for it.
Sutter is not holding back. She's letting it rip.
I like that play by Townsend there. You know, it was a pretty good lob, pushed it back a little bit deep. I like that she hit the ball straight ahead because I think they were able to contain that drive from Sutter. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's hard to win games when you fall 3 times. Hopefully, you know, it looked like a couple of those Townsend just rushed a little bit. But to your point, still a long way to go, and you know they'll get back into it. I always find that.
I don't know about you, Dave, but when I win the toss, I always let the opposing team serve first. It's always, I think that's always the hardest thing to do, is to start the match off serving.
When I interrupted you a second ago, that's exactly what I was going to say. That first service game might be the hardest game of the match.
Good communication over there with Sutter and Townsend. Mihaljevic, sorry.
Good use of the net there by Mihaljevic.
She's been working on that shot all season.
That's it.
That's a great return.
Tell you something a little bit that's not traditional, or we don't see it all the time, is on that return of serve coming from the deuce side of the court, Ncube lining up to hit her backhand.
She loves that two-hander.
Yeah, you know, most of the time everybody lines up, they're looking to hit forehands, and you know, when I'm teaching, I tell everyone, look, just pick. You can't stand there waiting for a forehand or a backhand. You either hit a forehand, look to hit a forehand, look to hit a backhand, but either one, it doesn't matter, just pick one.
With the court being this small, it's hard. You don't have that much time.
Right, you don't have time to think about it or to get ready
set
for it.
Yeah, that's, again, she's just unloading on that two-hander. Well,
right,
we are proving that the receiving team has the advantage in paddle.
Absolutely.
There's that big kick serve that I was talking about before they started. She's got a really nice serve that she places well. She can lock you up. She can take it to the screen.
And Randy, it's interesting because, you know, that's why I think for a lot of players, and especially at this level, you know, having a good serve, placing it well, spinning it, getting it deep in the box with some pace is so important, because, I mean, at the end of the day, what is a serve for these players? You're feeding them a short ball. You're feeding them a drivable ball. So, you know, it becomes really important to be able to place it, have some spin, because, again, they're looking to, you know, hit a serve so that they can sort of contain that return of serve. It's not a huge advantage.
But there you also see that the challenge with that serve that she hits with that much pace is that Mihaljevic is thrilled to see that screen drive opportunity, and she's,
right,
you know, she's talented enough to put that drive wherever she wants to. That's a great volley. Townsend has already proven twice now here in the third game that her hands are dangerous.
Yeah, no, really good volley there. And one thing that's going to be interesting to see is for Ncube and her serve, like you'd mentioned, you know, she likes to hit big kick serve, big spin serve. Is the snow going to have an effect on, you know, moisture on her paddle, or maybe some icing on her paddle? A lot of people out there don't realize back in the day, yes, there used to be ice on your paddle.
Yeah, right.
Before the days of grit. I think when I first started, someone said, "Oh, for the winter, you should get a paddle scraper." And I went, "A paddle scraper?" They said, "Yeah, you know, if you play in the rain or the snow and it's really cold, you might get ice on and the ball will skid off." I said, "You don't have to
call
worry
it a
about
towel,
that."
don't we?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that because if it's raining or snowing, I probably won't be playing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to figure out a better way to handle that than an ice scraper.
Inside the hut with a beer in my hand is the best way to handle that.
Exactly. I'm a good foul weather watcher.
Yeah, right on. Well, you can see right away, you know, here in this game, the way that Ncube and Townsend have set up is that they do have a game plan. They do stay nice and organized. They know whose ball is whose with that lefty-righty setup.
Up until there. And again, Ncube's got to know that that's her ball. You know, it's coming out of the forehand side. To your point, it looks like when Townsend and Ncube are at the net, they're going with Ncube hitting more of the overheads into the Sutter corner. So, you know, especially at this level, this stage of the game, this stage of the season, you know, those mistakes you kind of have to, they shouldn't happen.
Right.
Really good get there by Townsend with a little flick from behind her.
Well, we've got 3 games and 3 breaks.
Yeah. There are more breaks to serve than there are holds in platform tennis, according to analytics.
And you can see that they've, you know, the game plan for Townsend and Mihaljevic is to kind of try to keep Mihaljevic out of the point. It's not working out particularly well because Sutter is, you know, she's firing and she's not missing much. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues.
Dirty love. This might be the first lead the serving team has had.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the announcer's jinx, I hope.
Right. Yeah. Ncube and Townsend were all organized right until I talked about how organized they were. So you got to shut up.
I like the forehand drive. I just don't know if I like that decision of missing that wide at 15-30.
Yeah, especially with Sutter staying back. You didn't have to do much with that ball.
Or 30-15. So, you know, 30 love, Sutter throws in a fault, get it to 30-15, then 2 missed returns. At this level, you can't let teams hit one ball and win points.
Well, especially when she's staying back, you don't have to do much with that
Right.
return, but get it back, right?
Right.
Just get into the point.
I think just in general, when you win an easy point like that, where you serve and a couple of missed returns, like I think it sort of pumps you up a lot, as opposed to, you know, when you lose a point after a 60-ball rally, it is kind of like so deflating.
100%. But I think, you know, for us for not you, but me, us club level players, watching the depth of the Mihaljevic and Sutter lobs is really instructive. They are really not giving Ncube and Townsend opportunity to create from the net, because their lobs are taking them all the way to the service line and back. And some of us club level players could really benefit from targeting that service line.
Well, I think, Randy, and that's an excellent point. You know, one of the things that if you watch with Sutter and Mihaljevic, they're not trying to lob it over their head. To your point, they're just looking to push them back to the service line, maybe a foot or two behind that, just to create movement back and forth, maybe create a drive opportunity. And, you know, with these good lobs that they're hitting, they're never playing corner screens. Everything's coming through the middle.
Yeah, they're taking all of the opportunity to be offensive with their overheads out of the equation. When you're that far off the net, there's, you know, you're really limited with your opportunities.
And Sutter and Mihaljevic are doing a really good job of, whether it's off the deck or off the screen, down the middle, driving balls and putting pressure on Townsend and Ncube. I think, Randy, going back to your point about lobbing, most people that play don't realize that if you lob to the service line, most players can't hit the side screen with an overhead. And you see a lot of people, again, try to hit it over the net team's head to get it deeper, and they wind up missing it long, which, you know, should never really happen. We don't want to miss lobs long in platform tennis.
There are really two purposes to that lob, right? One is to take as much of that offense away on the overhead, and the other is to get them off the net far enough that you can take advantage of a driving opportunity if that ball's above the level of the net cord. Get them to try to lob or to volley from off the net. Get a volley error.
All right,
and
so
to the point, if you're trying to take it all the way to the baseline, it's problematic. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to do a Corian read, weren't you?
No worries, absolutely. We just want to let everybody watching out there in the paddle world, Corian is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2025-2026 season. Corian is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at Corian.com. You know, all our sponsors play a big role in the live stream and the tour. Local sponsors, Ridgewood Country Club and Xenon Paddle.
This is Corian's second season here as the national sponsor, and they've been a phenomenal partner to the APTA.
Just as we're talking about that, the APTA Tour is comprised of 15 events that are all live streamed. Of the 15 events, we have 5 Grand Prix. We already had Chicago. We already had Aronimink. Our first Grand Prix of the new year, 2026, will be the Boston Open next week, which I think turns out I might be here a lot for that event, which will be fun. Then we'll have the Short Hills Invitational February 7th and 8th, and the Midwesterns in Cincinnati, Ohio, February 21st and 22nd, and then followed up by the granddaddy of them all in March 6th to 8th, the Nationals at Canoebrook Country Club in Summit, New Jersey.
You know a guy at Canoebrook?
I do. I probably talk to him less than most people would think, but I do know him.
And before we got started, we were talking about that lefty-righty combo and the sort of coming across your body to take the overhead onto the same side of the court. It worked out there for Mihaljevic, but if they're gonna go to that due side, I'd much rather see Sutter hitting that overhead.
Really good volley there. Good setup.
Really good. Yeah, that was what we were talking about earlier, where Ncube got her off the net, put her in a position to hit a tough volley, but she picked it up.
I think part of that was because I liked that the Mihaljevic overhead went straight ahead. It didn't go cross court and create openings or movement. You know, she kind of kept it right back at Ncube, and Ncube pretty much had to drive it right back to her.
I think that's the other important aspect. What you're alluding to there is that angles create angles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
She didn't have a lot of choices, but to come back through the middle of the court.
All right, so Ncube and Townsend get one break of serve back. There you see with that big kick serve, Ncube wants the fresh dry ball. Oh yeah. That's good use of the rules right there. Remember, you know, when they're switching balls.
But to your point about the value of that serve, we have yet to see anybody hit, you know, take a real good crack at a return drive off of her serve. With the exception of the screen drive that Mihaljevic hit in the third game.
That's one of the first misses that we've seen out of Mihaljevic and Sutter so far in the beginning of this match, the first 6 games. Ncube and Townsend have had some serve problems of faulting. They probably have faulted a little bit more in this set than they would have liked.
You got to stop, Dave.
Yeah, no. The great Hall of Famer Hank Irvine used to say, you know, you should only miss one serve a set, one return a set. That was his. And I'm sure when he said one of each, I'm sure he really didn't mean it. He meant 0.
0. Yeah. Well, it is hard to win a point if you fault. I read that in the magazine.
That's it. If you fault, you have like a 90% chance of not winning the point.
Exactly.
And if the serve goes under the net, you only get half a point. So.
But that's only if it bounces under the net on their side of the net.
Unfortunately, the other team gets a full point.
Great off-pace drive there, but good pickup.
I'd like to see when Townsend is going back for that overhead and she's relatively deep in the court, it looks like she's content with hitting that ball straight ahead, which I like a lot. I might just like to see Ncube get on top of the net and look to protect Townsend's feet or Townsend from the drive a little bit more. Don't give Sutter so much space to hit that drive to. I'd like to see Ncube kind of squeeze that alley off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that's an opportunity where Ncube can go and, you know, create positional pressure just by being in a good position to maintain that next shot.
Mark volley there.
All right, just like that, Nube and Townsend are still a break down, but they've clawed their way back to being within reach.
Well, this is validating what I was just about to say, which is this has been a pretty even match all in, with the exception of the big points, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't really see massive changes that anybody needs to make other than execution.
And it's interesting from, again, our great stats from court director. You know, you see how that at 4-3, Mihaljevic and Sutter are leading in most of the statistical categories, but only by 1 or 2%. So, you know, again, it's a pretty tight match.
And frankly, you know, if Nube and Townsend clean up the fault situation, this is a different match.
I think it's a different set. No, absolutely. I mean, the one game, like I said, I don't want to harp on it, but, you know, they had 3 faults in one game, and imagine if you had to play starting out love 40.
I'm used to that, Dave. That's my MO.
That's why we picked to serve second if you win the spin.
Exactly.
I don't know about that shot. I think I would have liked to have seen maybe a roller or maybe a hard side back, but kind of that ball got a little bit too low to try to hit a flat ball right at Nube there. Just went sailed a little long. So that's what I was saying before, and I was going to say it again, where like I would love to see Townsend make Sutter volley at 15-30. Because all the pressure's on Sutter. She's got to get her serve in. She's got to make a first volley. All Townsend has to do is make her volley.
And Sutter had a nice 1-2 punch there as well to close that game out. All right, well, we're back to even. So as we were saying, looking at the stats, it really is a tight match, and they seem to have cleaned up a lot on the other side of the net here.
You know, if we got those stats again right now from court director, minus that mistake right there, it's probably, you know, even. I think a big factor in this match also is Nube and Townsend have cleaned up some of their mistakes. See, like that's the play right there. When Townsend is getting pushed back, I would like to see Nube get a little bit more on the net and cover her feet. See, I think it was Sutter right there that said, all right, we got to slow it down, which I think is a really good suggestion, really good option right now, because I was going to say they're making more mistakes, way more mistakes than they did earlier on in this match. They've lost the last 3 games, and I think it's just a matter of maybe pressing a little bit, playing a little too fast. So hopefully they can slow it down a little bit and settle in. And I still think that Sutter and Mihaljevic they're still lobbing well. And I think part of this is also this turnaround a little bit is Nube and Townsend have also kind of cleaned up some of their mistakes as well. Really good return there by Mihaljevic. Do you think if we gave Nube a redo, she would hit a different shot?
I You might have unloaded on that one instead of trying to play cat and mouse.
Right. There we see a big backhand on the same short ball from the previous point. Good volley there by Sutter. Ooh. Interesting choice. The old twirling forehand drive.
Game, Mihaljevic and Sutter.
No, it's you, sorry.
Or deuce.
Yeah. See, and I like that. That's the play I'm talking about. You know, Ncube was off the net hitting her overhead. I liked how Townsend got on top of the net. Just, you know, an unforced error that 99 out of 100 times she makes. But comes back with a big serve there. Maybe 98 out of 100.
I just think Townsend tried to cut that one a little thinner than
Yeah, a
necessary.
little do too much with it. And I think, again, on the early stages of this set, I think Mihaljevic and Sutter did a really good job of capitalizing on some of the mistakes that Ncube and Townsend were making. And, you know, here we are 4-all late in the game, and some of those mistakes from earlier from Townsend and Ncube are creeping in a little bit. Let's see if Mihaljevic and Sutter take advantage of them. What a place, well-placed shot by Ncube there.
Really good.
Big forehand down the line from the middle of the court.
So, Dave, I'm just wondering, you know, I think Mihaljevic
If I
and
aim
Sutter
for that,
are...
no, Randy, I would never aim for that. I don't have the pinpoint accuracy.
But, you know, we've talked about how well Mihaljevic and Sutter are lobbing. So the one thing that I'm wondering, though, from your perspective, is their choice of where on the court they're lobbing, right? They're lobbing mostly to the middle of the court. And I'm wondering if Sutter might be better suited maybe lobbing down the line a little bit to try to set up the Mihaljevic forehand.
I think that's a really good observation and 1,000% a good strategy, because I mean, it's apparent that they're trying to keep the ball away from Mihaljevic's forehand, and you see right there a little bit of frustration, maybe because she hasn't been able to hit many forehand drives. So I definitely think for Sutter, lobbing down the line might be a little bit better of a play. A, to get the ball over to Mihaljevic a little bit more, but also in this setup, every time she lobs to Ncube or down the middle, there's really no confusion, because it's apparent that Ncube's hitting these overheads.
All right, let's see here.
So again, we see a few more of the serve issues coming up.
I'm going to look here at the stats again.
I'm going to tell you something right from looking at this Randy, that really sticks out is Ncube and Townsend have won a higher percentage of service points, but Mihaljevic and Sutter have won a higher percentage of games on their serve.
Yeah, and it comes down to winning the big points, right? I mean,
that usually doesn't that doesn't translate like that usually.
Great hands from Sutter there.
Right, and that's, you know, that's the, you know, that happens a lot where at the, you know, Sutter didn't mean to hit a drop shot volley on that. You know, she was looking to get her paddle on it. She goes and hits a drop shot winner at the right time for them, wrong time for Ncube and Townsend.
But why did that happen, right? It happened because she positioned herself right on top of the net.
Yep.
And so even though she missed it, she got a great outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's half a step off the net. That ball probably ends up at her feet.
In the net, yeah.
Well, sometimes karma goes your way.
I might be starting the announcer's helpfulness.
Right. That's two missing it just right.
30, 15.
That's a good return there by Ncube. Showing off, displaying her big backhand, two-handed backhand there. Randy, we just want to let everybody know that's out there watching that we'll be back for the next match as well. We have a men's quarterfinal coming up after this. A full day of live stream paddle for all the paddle players and fans out there. Live from Paramus, New Jersey, the beautiful Ridgewood Country Club.
40, 15.
All right, well, we have set point number 1 here.
Well spotted drive there from Sutter. She's really been firing well today from both sides. You hear that great communication with Ncube and Townsend. That caught.
Sutter! Mihaljevic, Sutter! Lead the first set, 1 game to love.
All right, that is the first set. And we will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel with live streaming by Pro Fight and match statistics provided by Court Director.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
The business owners that I'm working with have entrusted Corient in this work because we're really focused on supporting them in their important endeavors. They're functioning every day in their zone of genius, and their expectation of us is we're doing the same. My name is Anna Diaz. I'm a partner and wealth advisor at Corient. When we think about the work we're doing for our clients, we think about first financial, absolutely. It is not uncommon that our very successful business owners and clients are making disjointed decisions. Our job is to provide a proactive strategy so the filter in which they make these decisions is informed. Second is the emotional load. Our clients often are asking themselves, what am I missing? Our job is to remove that mental load so they feel that their strategy is optimized, is simplified, and is executed cleanly. And the third is generational. Absolutely, there is technical design that goes into that, but it is also the thoughtful impact they want to have with what they've created.
All right, welcome back to the APTA Tour. I'm Randy Markey here with Dave Broderick at the Ridgewood Country Club with this women's quarterfinal match with Matea Mihaljevic and Jolene Sutter against Michelle Ncube and Camille Townsend. Sutter and Mihaljevic pulled out the first set 6-4 in a pretty close first set, Dave.
Yeah, no, it was really close. I mean, again, if we can, if we take a look at the statistics brought to you by Court Director, it was a pretty even matchup. All the percentages were pretty close. Again, from a 6-4 set, it was, it was statistically pretty close. I think one of the things for both teams is, I think something they're going to want to change is just, cut down on unforced errors. Like I felt that early on, Ncube and Townsend were making a bunch of unforced errors, and Mihaljevic and Sutter capitalized, and then sort of in the middle of that set, Mihaljevic and Sutter started making some unforced errors, and then at the end they wound up prevailing. But I think both teams are going to want to tighten up their unforced errors going forward for the rest of this, for the rest of this match, especially in the second set.
Discussing, in that first set, there doesn't seem to be a game plan that's prevailing here. Sutter and Mihaljevic are lobbing great, but they're lobbing right down the middle of the court, which is not setting up Mihaljevic's strengths.
Right, they're not. The lobs are not creating opportunities. And Randy, why don't we just show everyone out there watching at the net hitting that overhead, the lefty there is Michelle Ncube on the right side of your screen at the net, and her partner to the left is Camille Townsend, going back to play that ball off the back screen. And now at the net, who just hit the ball with the blue vest, is Jolene Sutter, and her partner is Matea Mihaljevic over with the red sneakers and looks like a black vest as well. Just a reminder, Mihaljevic is a pro at the Millbrook Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her partner Jolene Sutter is from Darien, Connecticut. Michelle Ncube is a pro at Essex Fells Country Club in New Jersey. And Camille Townsend works down at Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova, Pennsylvania. And Overbrook has an amazing fireplace in their clubhouse.
Starting to see the weather coming in here in New Jersey. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the temperatures stay cool enough to keep it the white fluffy stuff. And there's that big spin kick serve that we were talking about in the first set with Ncube. She can place that well, and she's been moving Sutter around a little bit with it. And Sutter's ground strokes have been strong, and Ncube's been able to keep that return relatively neutralized from Sutter.
Randy, we just want to remind everyone that we're coming to you live from Paramus, New Jersey at the historic, beautiful Ridgewood Country Club for the Ridgewood Classic. We can't talk about Ridgewood Country Club without thanking Louis Vauclair, our tournament director, along with Daniel Blasco, also one of the tournament directors. Something when you talk about Ridgewood Country Club paddle, you can't really talk about it without mentioning Billy Dunn, who for years was a real huge supporter and advocate of platform tennis up at Ridgewood, and you know, he kind of has spearheaded the growth in the last 8 to 10 years, and amazing facility, great atmosphere. So it's I've been up there many times. It's a fun place to be. Wow, what hands there by Townsend. Oh, man.
Great pickup.
That may have been too good of a backhand by Mihaljevic.
Townsend leads the second set. 1 game to love. Mihaljevic and Sutter won the first set. I just feel like I need to go.
You see there, maybe the ball skidding a little bit off the court, speeding up into the screen, giving Mihaljevic a little bit of trouble over there. But the court looks relatively dry. It doesn't look too wet.
No, the volume is picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
You can hear the heaters are running. They're working hard. But right now, it doesn't appear that court conditions are a factor yet.
Uh-oh.
Well,
We just heard from
I was wrong.
The courts are dry. Randy, I can tell you though, the floor in here in the booth is bone dry.
And warm.
It is warm. Sounds like the crowd is starting to get a little rowdy here at Ridgewood Country Club.
Great spot.
Yeah,
She caught Sutter leaning towards the middle.
that's a well-placed drive. And I think when you start talking about, you know, the pro level, the higher levels of players, you know, they all can hit big drives. They all have really good drives. I think a big part of it just comes down to placement and where you spot it. You know, you kind of want to pick spots that just feel a little bit awkward for the volleyer. Maybe a little snowflake in the eye there may have caused that mistake. A little bit of a surprise by Sutter.
I don't want it to go without saying, but Mihaljevic has hit 3 volleys off her shoelaces in this game.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to what you were saying earlier about unforced errors on both sides of the net. You know, New Day and Townsend have got a little momentum going here in the second set, but it's been a function of some unforced errors.
And I think that was a big part of the first set where, you know, I think it was just trading errors kind of crept in for both teams. And I think that was one of the reasons why it was sort of a seesaw battle in the first set, going back and forth. You know, just I think each team was giving each other, kind of keeping the minute, making some, you know, unforced errors at you know, not the greatest of times in the match.
That backhand caught the corner there, yeah.
was confirmed by chair umpire Carol Uritzen.
15-40.
Longtime platform tennis player out of Montclair Golf Club. Giving back to the game with, despite the elements out there, she always does a great job in the chair.
Unsung heroes of the game.
Yo. Yo. Hi.
Game. Mihaljevic and Sutter. Mihaljevic and Sutter. Oh, wait. Ncube and Townsend lead the second set 2-1 over Mihaljevic and Sutter. Mihaljevic and Sutter won the first set 6-4.
There we go. We had to do a little organization of the scorekeeping there.
Sorry, I ran out. We'll get more.
And again, Randy, want to just remind everyone, next week there will be a lot of live stream action from the first Grand Prix of 2026, the Boston Open. Live streaming will start on January 23rd, Friday, and it will continue Saturday as well. So tune in to watch your favorite platform tennis players.
Been an interesting change to the schedule recently here with this Friday, Saturday schedule.
Michelle, can I take one?
Yeah, it's this early morning start, quarterfinals. I had to, I couldn't be in hair and makeup long enough, really. My hair looks a little messy this morning. Also want to remind everyone that this live stream from the Ridgewood Classic is being brought to you by ProFlight Live. Big E, Evan Morgan always does a great job. And again, I think, and tell me, Randy, what you think. You know, there's nothing major that I would give advice to either team other than just clean up some of the mistakes. Just, you know, I think right now it's just, again, they've got to, like, you know, 30 love a fault. That's a big point where you're letting the other team back in without even taking a swing, and especially after they just missed a return of serve. Now, again, I know the players are not trying to miss, but, you know, they just have to look to clean this up a little bit.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder, as a server, you know, to the degree to which this snowfall is becoming a factor. Looking up into those flakes coming into your eyes can be a factor for sure.
30.
Like, you look at that return, it's 30 all, and it's a backhand down the line in the middle of the net. Again, get that ball, again, and we don't know, because we're not out there, how much the ball is skidding and how much it's hydroplaning off the court, but, you know, if you're going to drive that ball, it has to go back to Sutter. You have to make her hit a first volley. Otherwise, just throw up a lob and get the point.
Game, Mihaljevic, Sutter. Second game is tied, 2 games each.
Nube and Townsend have now given back their advantage pretty quickly. And to your point, it all comes down to unforced errors. I mean, that lob long, drive into the middle of the net. You know, Sutter tried to to give them some opportunities with the fault, and that's just a well-placed drive. Good pace, right at her shoelaces.
I think, Randy, after I retire from announcing, I may do a speaking tour going around the country talking about the mental strategy point by point.
We, us club level players, could sure benefit from that.
30-15.
And I think after the 3-hour sessions, it's going to basically come down to pretty much on every point, try not to make an unforced error.
Well, at my talent level, that's very challenging.
And again, like I said, you know, as we're watching this match, it's just, I think, you know, I don't know whether it's choices, shot selection, but again, I think just both teams, if they go back and watch this, are going to realize that, you know, in certain situations, it just came down to who was making the mistakes, the unforced errors, not even forced errors or slash cut winners or let cords. It was just, you know, it's just been about some unforced errors that I'm sure both teams are going to look at and say, yeah, you know what, that wasn't, you know, we need to clean that up a little bit.
Now there you saw Sutter starting to do some of what I was talking about before with lobbing that ball down the line. Townsend did a nice job of pushing it straight back at her instead of feeding that Mihaljevic forehand. But I think the more that she can start or keep lobbing it down that line, the opportunity for Mihaljevic to step in and take some offense is going to present itself.
I think if you, after watching the last couple of returns of serve, I think the court's playing a little bit of games with the returners on where the ball's skidding to. So I think in this weather, something that, you know, the returner's going to have to think about is maybe just, you know, letting more balls go to the screen and looking to just lob it up to start the point. Good cover there by Mihaljevic. And one of the key things, if you're watching that point, is Sutter came up moving forward to the net. Mihaljevic moved to the middle of the court, because in that situation, basically they're covering a, you know, a front and back situation.
I think the other thing that was interesting was that both Ncube and Townsend stepped forward. They didn't back off as Sutter was coming up clearly in the drive. They stepped to the net, not away from it.
Randy, they're currently watching us from all over the world. I just found out we have some viewers down in Toms River, New Jersey, Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. We're really expanding the viewership here.
You need a passport to get there.
Hey, Randy, Corian is excited to partner with the APTA because whether as advisors to our members or as members themselves, they are already part of the APTA community. Learn more at www.corian.com, the official wealth sponsor of the APTA. And again, we also want to thank our local sponsors, Ridgewood Country Club, Xenon Paddle.
We can't put these tournaments on without our sponsors, that's for sure. So we're deeply grateful.
And also want to let everybody know, you know, when you see all those great statistics showing up, they're provided by Court Director.
Mihaljevic Mihaljevic finding the nick there, but you can hear that great communication with Sutter and Mihaljevic. No confusion about whose ball that is.
And I think with the court conditions and the where we are at this match, I think this is a really big game for Ncube and Townsend.
I'll go.
You know, I think in this weather with the court being a little slick, you know, I don't think the returner has as big of an advantage as they do on a dry court. So for Mihaljevic and Sutter to hold this game and to solidify their break of serve, it could be huge. As we saw another big two-handed backhand there by Ncube.
A great pickup from Mihaljevic there. To no avail.
It is for all those left wall squash players.
But that was a good series there from Townsend, varying her pace, varying her location on her overheads, getting Mihaljevic a little bit out of position, made her move. But you hear that really good communication. They clearly have had a conversation about game plan, and Mihaljevic is taking the lion's share of the overheads and taking them to the Townsend corner.
And I think this is the last couple of service games, maybe one or two. This has really been the first time we've really seen a definitive sort of strategy from Mihaljevic and Sutter on who was hitting the overheads. I thought in the first set, Sutter hit a lot of the overheads, you know, were a bigger part of it, where now we're starting to see Mihaljevic trying to take more of them. Where on the other side of it,
Sutter was taking, you know, pushing down the middle, kind of low and slow. And to your point, there wasn't really much of a game plan. It now appears as though there's a game
there's
plan.
a little bit more of a plan as to who's going to hit more of the balls. And if you watch Ncube and Townsend up at the net on that last point, you know, it looks like they're still sticking with Ncube hitting the majority of the overheads.
40-30.
Turn.
Good recovery there by Sutter and Mihaljevic.
You're not kidding. Good hands from
Good
everybody.
hands by
there.
everyone. Good move by Ncube, yeah.
I'll go. I can't.
I like that choice by Ncube. She had Mihaljevic way off the net. She just, you know, unfortunately caught the tape, but it was the right choice.
No, and I agree 1,000% with that. You know, good opportunity. She set it up well. I just think from watching it, not knowing what's going on, you know, but like I think that was a good opportunity to just let Mihaljevic hit a volley. Don't try to hit the ball by her.
That's fair.
Game, Mihaljevic, Sutter.
From no man's land there.
Second set.
It'll be interesting to see if they can close this gap here, or if they're going to allow Mihaljevic and Sutter to maintain this momentum.
Big serve there.
Great serve.
I think in this weather you just go There you go. You just go flat and firm. Flat and firm is the way to go in this weather.
And if you can hit the seam like that, even better.
That's it. Let Mother Nature make you better. So I think if you're Mihaljevic and Sutter, you see what's going on here with the serve. I don't really think you can let it bother you too much or care that much about it. Just, you have to know that you're going to get to serve next, and you have the opportunity to do the same thing. So, you know, you're kind of ahead right now. Just focus on, I think for them, they need to focus on their service games.
But that's another one of those unforced errors you were talking about that's going to be a difference maker in this match, or is proven to be a difference maker in this match.
Great get off the left court by Mihaljevic, and then they lob to the baseline.
Wait for it.
You know, with these court conditions, I'm wondering if Mihaljevic might have been, I mean, she took care of business there, but, you know, there's such a huge advantage with these court conditions to be hitting overhead. She lets it drop a little lower and allows that court condition to keep that ball skidding and low off those screens.
Yeah, I think the firm push overhead is going to pay dividends for the team that's at the net here. You know, and again, I mean, we saw that Ncube and Townsend on her serve is one. You know, they've won 4 points on just off the serve alone.
That was a great pickup by Sutter on that server, by the way.
Yeah.
I would have thrown a disc.
I think, like I said earlier on, at some point, you know, with the way the ball's skidding a little bit, you really have to be picking and choosing when you're looking to drive and when you're just going to throw up another lob. And again, in this weather, you know, playing overheads really isn't the easiest thing in the world either. But again, at least it's going to make them hit another ball. All right, we see our statistics. They're brought to us by court director, and you know, again, it's pretty tight. It's you know, statistically, the one thing that stands out is Mihaljevic and Sutter with a, you know, big discrepancy in the percentages of service games won, and
break points converted. Yeah.
You know, and that's
correlated.
Yeah, that's a big. You know, a big thing. If you could, if you can hold, you're doing better than most. You know, the team usually that holds more, because we know how many breaks a serve there are. You know, it's huge. Holding serve is huge.
And again, alluded to earlier, I think these court conditions have shifted the advantage from the returner to the server.
I was going to say that, where, you know, if these four play on a dry court on a sunny, crisp morning, I think, and we compare the statistics, you know, I think they might be a little bit different, and they're not going to be favoring as much the server.
But Dave, what's the advice you would give a club level player about playing in these conditions? How do you set yourself up? What do what are you thinking about in terms of defending against this ball skidding off this wet court?
One is, I think that if you're the net team, you can't give away free points. You know, you have to cut down your margins for error, maybe aim a little bit more in the middle of the court, let the court help you out a little bit, because again, as we talked about, in these conditions, the server may have a little bit more of an advantage than on a normal day. So you can't afford to make mistakes. You can't afford to give away free points when you have the advantage. If you're the baseline team, I just think, you know, you've got to make sure your lobs are going deeper, because anything short is going to be trouble, because you don't know what the ball's going to do off of the deck, as we see there, or off the screens. So I really think lobbing deeper becomes a big issue, and I think even in these conditions with the court the way it is, I almost want to say you're better off if you get the opportunity driving more balls, because I don't think off of a volley the court is going to affect the ball as much as it does off the overheads.
And what do you have to do?
So even though
footwork-wise and timing-wise to you know, allow for that?
I think a big thing is, you know, timing-wise, you really have to wait for the ball to come to you. And in terms of footwork, you know, you can't be reaching for the ball. You've got to be, your feet have to be set. You have to be balanced. You have to get low, have a good base, so that you can play the shots. You know, you have the best opportunity for success. And, you know, I said earlier on with, you know, the return of serve being difficult with the way the ball's skidding. So I know driving is going to be a little bit challenging, but like I said, I think if you're on the baseline, in the long run, if you have more drive opportunities, you may want to take them, because like you see there, off these volleys, the ball's just kind of sitting up, where every time they're hitting an overhead, that ball's skidding and going into the screen a little bit harder. Good eye there by Mihaljevic. And Randy, it's interesting because in the beginning of this match, I think the first 3 service games, the receiver won. There were 3 breaks of serve, and I want to say over probably the last 4 games of this match, the server has held. So we're definitely seeing how.
Example right there, the court conditions playing a factor, right? I mean, it advantages the server. We're in a dry situation, it
right?
Doesn't, and it absolutely advantages the net team hitting, especially a short overhead.
And like I said earlier, if you're the net team, the court's going to put so much action on the ball and make it move crazy and skid and change direction that playing it safe is there's no reason not to play it safe, because again, you have such an advantage of being at the net, you can't give away free points.
Oh, I'm okay. Oh, my hand. Oh, yeah. It's really slippery. Well, I have both my ankles right. I don't know about anybody else.
All right, so Randy, Mihaljevic, and Sutter serving for the match.
Those of you joining us know that very shortly after this match, we're going to turn this court over quickly to pick up the men's quarterfinal match with Garcia Nieto and Quintana against Friedrich and Beauclair. That match will start almost immediately after this match ends.
And one of our tournament directors, Louis Beauclair, director of rackets up at Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus, New Jersey.
Great example of what you were talking about earlier, where Sutter stepped up and closed the net and took that drive away and really protected Mihaljevic.
Right, and you see there, that's the overhead that's going to, it's been and it's going to keep being effective, where Sutter let that ball drop and just hit a firm push overhead, and the ball stayed low, it skid, and, you know, forced an error out of Ncube.
Well, I think I just had an announcer's thought curse, because I was just about to say that they were 2 points away from the match, but even thinking it was a curse.
Just like that, 30 all. I think they got away with one there with the drop shot in the slippery conditions, but it worked out well. Break point to bring us to 5 all here in the second set of the women's quarterfinal at the historic, beautiful Ridgewood Country Club.
And we're all tied up.
That was the first break of serve we had in a long time. And
you can start to see the snow accumulating on the walkway between the courts.
Yep.
So the snow is coming down.
I'm dry.
It
I'll
is a
try to get
factor.
dry.
And down a set, serving for the match. Ncube. Townsend really needed that break of serve. It came at a good time.
This goes back to your conversation earlier about mental toughness. Let's see who can lock in here and recognize what they have to do in the moment.
Well, again, and I mean, listen, we know that the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of platform tennis, the momentum swings are crazy. And, you know, I try to tell everyone that I coach that, you know, 40 love is just as important as love 40. Like every point counts. Every point can change things. You look there, Mihaljevic and Sutter were serving at 30 love. It looked like they were cruising. You know, I was ready to go get something to drink from the refrigerator. And, you know, next thing you know, they faulted. Now it's 30-15. Now it's a different mentality. You know, it's not as relaxed as it was when it was 30 love. And then, you know, Ncube and Townsend come back and wind up breaking serve, and now they're up 30-15. Here we are. And again, everyone, like Randy said, we have some men's quarterfinal action coming up at the conclusion of this match. The men's tour, they played 2 matches last night to get us to the quarterfinals this morning.
40-30.
Sutter's doing a really good job of lobbing deep and keeping Ncube off the net to hit any type of an attacking overhead. That was a well-played point there by Sutter.
Thank you.
And that goes back to what I said before this match started. She is very smart. She's very patient. It was the right
Like-
choice.
Yeah.
She didn't go for too much. Just unlucky.
And I think these lobs down the line by Sutter forcing Townsend off the net is going to open up drive opportunities for her. Like, I think forcing Ncube back a little bit, where you have Townsend on the net, it's kind of closing her window down a little bit to drive. Whereas I think when Townsend's off the net, both players were off the net, and there's a little bit bigger of a window for her to drive to and be able to move it around.
Good defense there against that 1-2 punch from Mihaljevic. That was a well-played point from Ncube and Townsend. They defended well. They placed their overheads well. Sutter did a great job defending, but they caught the error.
Yeah, no, and I thought Sutter played the last couple of points really well. You know, I don't think anything she should do differently on those. You know, I think Ncube and Townsend dodged a couple there up at the net by, you know, letting Mihaljevic get involved a little bit, because obviously they were looking to keep that ball over to the Sutter side of the court. But how the tide has turned, Mihaljevic Sutter, once 2 points away from the match, are now serving to stay in the match.
15 love.
I think that's the fourth backhand return drive that we've seen. Ncube hit into the net, and I think that's all a function of the court condition. She's been ripping that ball.
I was going to say, like there, right there, 1,000% I agree with you. And again, if she feels like she can drive them, I'm all for her driving them. I'm fully in support of her driving them, but I just don't think she can go so big. I think she's got to rein it in a little bit and just make Sutter hit a volley. You know, I don't think it could be that big of a shot. And I think for them being up, this is way too loose of a game. Like, you know, if I'm Ncube and Townsend, the only way Mihaljevic and Sutter are winning this game is if they win the game. And I think right now, they've sort of taken a little bit of pressure off of Sutter and Mihaljevic by a couple of unforced errors here early on, or in this game.
That was that letting it drop low, hitting it hard and flat that we were talking about, using the court conditions to your advantage.
Randy, despite what people think, every once in a while I get it right. Although recently Guy Moore's told me that I'm getting better.
Well, you can't trust anything Guy says.
Oh no, that's one thing I think is true. But I get there by Sutter. You see right now how Sutter and Mihaljevic are playing this point patiently. I would have loved to have seen that in the last game out of Ncube and Townsend.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know what? They're serving to stay in the match. Like, again, all the pressure was on Mihaljevic and Sutter to have to stay in, you know, to stay in the set.
I think Ncube and Townsend actually got away with one there, because I thought Sutter and Mihaljevic played that really smart. Sutter just let that drive get away from her.
Yeah, no, and I think if you're, you know, Ncube Townsend, that point right there was, like I said, you know, I would have loved to see them play 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points just like that in the previous service game of Mihaljevic and Sutter.
That was a great overhead. Great backhand roller. If we thought the weather was a factor before, it is picking up.
It is.
And again, temperature-wise, we are right on the edge of this converting from snow to rain. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that it stays
We might have to get
below the
someone.
freezing mark.
We might have to get someone to clean off the windows so we can see the court. Maybe turn the window defrost up a little bit. For everybody out there watching, we may have to get Big E, the producer, up on the ladder and maybe clean off the lens of the cameras, make sure viewing is pristine.
I was looking forward to that opportunity. Any predictions, Dave? Who's going to keep it together here?
I don't know. I think the weather is making it a little bit harder to predict because, again, I think whoever faults more going forward is not going to win this set. I just think the serve right now is playing such a big part of this match. That I think that's going to be a deciding factor of, you know, who can get the most serves in. You know, and I guess you could say, well, what if whoever hits the most returns in? I just think if you're returning right now, you're kind of playing self-defense.
Yeah, for sure. That ball is really skidding and taking some funky bounces off the wires.
Like, I'll tell you what, that was a huge lob by Ncube and Townsend to be able to come in and take over the net, being, you know, up 3-2 in this second set tiebreaker. It was a tough ball to go for that drive. I think the other thing that we haven't mentioned too in this weather, I think, and we've talked about it, but we really haven't said it. But I think a good strategy on the overheads is hitting them right at the player.
Make them
because
move.
yeah, because one, they have to get out of the way, and then two, they've got to go chase the ball. You know, and again, the ball is unpredictable, hitting the court, going into the screen. The court, the footing isn't as good.
That's a great shot from Mihaljevic.
That was pretty filthy at 2-4 in the second set tiebreaker.
The cutter from her shoelaces.
Yep, yep.
That was a great drive from Sutter to get right back into this tie break. We are all tied up here.
Yeah, I like that last overhead by Sutter. That was her letting it drop, hitting it firm. I just would have maybe in these conditions liked her maybe hitting it a little bit more at Ncube to make her, again, jump out of the way and then try to go. Another great lob to give them control of the net here at 4-all.
Great pickup from Sutter. Again.
That last overhead, I would have loved to have seen Townsend go back at Sutter.
5-4. Point given.
She had Sutter kind of, you know, off balance, moving her around a little bit in that corner. I would have liked to have seen her go one more time over there.
Agreed. Yeah, I always feel like people miss an opportunity sometimes to recognize when they've got their opponent on their heels, and they give them a break. They let them off the hook. That's a great return. She's hit 4 or 5 of those into the net and just dialed that one up. And here we
have
are.
a set point. Here we are, set point. Randy, right off the bat, win or lose this point by Ncube and Townsend. I love the tempo that they're starting out with. I love that they didn't try to force anything right off the bat. Again, they still have another set point here.
Yeah, they've really locked in to a different. Oh boy!
There you go. I don't want to say I told you so, but she got the serve in.
We will be right back with the third set right here on the APTA network.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
A lot of founders start out with an idea, maybe in a garage, in a shared workspace, and really being a co-pilot along that whole journey from ideation to execution to maybe monetization one day is really the role we've decided to take in the marketplace. So I feel like we have really found a part of the market and offering that just really hasn't existed. It's this coaching, it's therapy, it's co-piloting on a journey that is unique.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. I'm Randy Markey here with Dave Broderick at the Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus, New Jersey with this women's quarterfinal match between Mihaljevic and Jolene Sutter against Michelle Ncube and Camille Townsend. We've got quite a barn burner here. I think Ncube and Townsend did a great job of turning things around in that second set, pulling out a tiebreaker. They really kind of changed up the tempo nicely and locked in, took advantage of the court conditions, and played very smart. And now here we are in the third set.
Randy, if you look at these stats by court director, I mean, it's dead even match. The one thing I will want to point out to everyone watching is points won. This is the first time that Ncube and Townsend have had a higher percentage of points won. And it's only
It's 1 point.
It's 1 point. And here we are, and it's we're tied at 1-1. So it's no surprise that these statistics are as close as they are. But again, I think in the third set we're going to see a little bit of a shift in. You look at that game where it was break points converted, where it was 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Where I think in the first set, when the weather wasn't as big of a factor, that was a little bit higher. So we'll see how it works out going forward. I think we are going to see a lot more holds of serve, and to what I said towards the end of the second set, I think it's going to come down to, who faults less is going to, I think, benefit way more. Maybe I'm pointing out the obvious, but I try to explain that, this is not that complicated of a game when you look at it. I will tell you, this is a little bit interesting as well, and I don't know if you would agree or disagree that the second set in worse weather, the match actually took longer. Now, they did play 3 extra games or 2 extra games and a tiebreaker, but I would have thought because of the wet court condition, that number would have been lower.
I completely agree. That is surprising to me. But it did, a lot of this came, you made a great point, a lot of this came down to faulting. And, in these conditions, with the advantage being with a server, it's really imperative to just get that ball in and let the court do its thing.
Yeah, if you're the server and you just kind of hit a flat, firm serve deep in the box, the court's going to make the ball dance. And it looks like Townsend and Ncube are out on the court ready to go. Along with up in the chair, veteran referee, Carol Yurtsin, out of the Montclair Golf Club in Montclair, New Jersey.
Looks like she's going to become a snowman up there pretty soon.
Yeah. They might have to go up on the ladder and scrape the snow off of her, let alone the windows. Mike Yashimsky, one of the lead referees on the tour.
How much power you have?
Trying to keep Carol's spirits up as she's sitting there saying, this is why I'm going to vote for you umpire of the year, because you're up there and I'm not.
Right. Checking how much power she's got left in her heated blanket up there.
There you go. Mike Yashimsky. He must have been a Boy Scout. He's got the backup battery pack. Guy's prepared.
Yeah.
And Randy, you can really see, for all the viewers at home, how much the snow is building up on the walkways.
It's coming down.
And it looks like we have 3 of the 4 players out on the court. We're just waiting on Sutter.
Here she comes.
And again, we talk about all the events this year, 15 events, all being live streamed.
I was thinking about you. I'm like, I'm so slow, and she's up in the chair.
Throughout the season. Today at Ridgewood Country Club is another reason why the live stream plays an important part of the platform tennis world. Maybe it's a little too ominous out there with the snowy conditions to go to Ridgewood, but you can sit on your couch and listen to us and watch it from the luxury of your own home.
Warm and dry.
And be dry, yeah.
For those of you just joining that, we've got Mateo Mihaljevic and Jolene Sutter on this side of the court. The deuce side, we've got Jolene, and on the ad side is Mihaljevic. On the opposite side of the court, on the deuce side, is Mihaljevic, and the ad side is Camille Townsend.
That was a pretty good down the line forehand by Mihaljevic. I'll tell you one thing I noticed right now with Ncube and Townsend. I think they're playing a little slower, a little bit more deliberate ever since sort of the end of that second set. I thought they played the tiebreaker really well, and they're starting this set out as well, where they're, you know, keeping a lot of balls in play, making some, you know, good decisions as to when to drive, when to lob. And again, I think in these conditions, I think that's going to play out more than who has the better skill sets.
Again, I like the strategy that Sutter and Mihaljevic are employing when they're at the net. Mihaljevic is clearly going to be taking most of the overheads. The great communication from Sutter about calling the ball early, and their the choice of where they're going into that ad corner keeps them nice and organized.
Really nice overhead there by Sutter on a short lob, a little waterfall to go along with this snowfall.
Let's go.
It's interesting, Dave. In these conditions, you talked about how Ncube and Townsend have slowed it down. Is it an advantage to try to speed things up a little bit if you're the team at the net?
Well, I think so, because again, the ball's just going to do crazy things off the deck with the moisture, and you know, you're not sure, is it going to skid left, is it going to skid right, how high, how low. You know, I think if you're at the net, you definitely want to, you know, look to maybe, I don't want to say play faster, but you know, again, you could be a little bit more aggressive. But having said that, you know, I would do it safer. I wouldn't go as wide. I wouldn't go, you know, play it more at people to get them moving in a couple of different directions. I think you could play a little bit more aggressive at the net without being risky.
30-15.
I got you.
See, like there, it's almost like they hear me. and it just makes them do things.
Either that or you know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't want to give you too much credit, but...
No, listen, I got one thing right already today earlier, so I can't, I know where you're two. See it again, and you look at that overhead by Townsend. She didn't do anything spectacular or special. She just let it drop, pushed it deep in the corner, and she let the ball do its thing. Getting a, maybe probably a forced error out of Sutter there. And again, like we talked about earlier, I think another key to this third set is going to be, which team lobs deeper, not allowing the net team to really hit aggressive offensive overheads from the net.
And Dave, when you say deeper, where on the court are you suggesting they lob to?
Just to the service line. I mean,
yeah.
The service line is great. If you get the ball 2 feet beyond the service line, that's perfect. But you really don't need to go much further than that. Again, if you start trying to lob it over the net team's head, most of the time, or the majority of the time, if you're successful in getting it over their head, you're probably lobbing the ball long. Yeah. I think the court's too wet for that ball to spin forward. I think that was one where
just for dry court, didn't she?
Yeah, yep. I think that's one where Mihaljevic's shot just kind of spun its wheels in the same spot. It didn't really move.
Yeah, Townsend did exactly what you want to do in that ball, which is crowded and move a little bit to the left, and it just didn't do what she expected it to do. I think it can be understated how difficult it is to time that drive off of these court conditions and how well struck that ball was and placed beautifully.
I'll tell you, a little bit of an adjustment that I've noticed from Ncube on her return of service is she's hanging back. She's not moving into the blue trying to take the ball early like she was earlier on. And I think that's going to, play out well for her, just to kind of give the ball a little bit more time to see what it's going to do, and maybe just give her a little bit more time to, be balanced and ready to hit a good return of serve. So I was just about to say, and I promise I was going to say this, but I haven't loved the pattern of overheads that Mihaljevic and Sutter were hitting towards the end of that point, where Mihaljevic would hit it from the right side of your screen over to the left side of the court, and then Sutter was hitting overheads from the left side of the court over to Ncube on the right side. And I just, they were creating too much of their own movement, and then you saw that Ncube finally got an opportunity to hit a forcing drive that forced a mistake. Like that ball right there, like look at they're like, now you see the movement, you see them in trouble, and they got the ball they wanted.
Yeah. And you
know,
talked about that before the match even started. I mean, this is exactly the pattern that you were talking about.
like if you're Mihaljevic and Sutter, if you can't get the ball cross court into the side screen, just hit it straight ahead. Because at worst case scenario, you're closing the window of opportunity where they can hit the ball to. When that ball's going cross court, you're moving, they're hitting a ball that's probably going away from you. Your next shot is just probably not going to be your best shot.
Well, as we talked about as well, the ball that goes down the middle of the court has to come back through the middle of the court.
Right.
When you hit an angle, you're creating opportunities for angles either to go down the line or cross court.
And you're moving in that direction, and you're moving.
Yeah. You have to find your position.
Game, Sutter. Mihaljevic and Sutter lead the third set. 2-1.
And I think right there, you know, if you're Mihaljevic and Sutter, you take a big sigh of relief because, you know, it wound up, I think Ncube and Townsend had a game point, and 3 unforced drive errors kind of gave that game to Mihaljevic and Sutter. And I think we're starting out, I think we've had three holds of serve, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct.
Tell you, the serve to the deuce side to Sutter is really giving her fits in the last. Although that seemed to give Mihaljevic a little bit of trouble too.
Well, and Townsend is hitting a low serve with a little bit of side spin on it that's really staying super low, and it's coming in with just enough pace that they either have to get lucky picking it up off the court, or they're having a hard time picking it up off the screen.
And I think if you're watching, you know, in this match, I think if you're Mihaljevic and Sutter, I think, you know, you can't get frustrated or upset. Ncube and Townsend are definitely holding a little bit easier, gaining a little bit of an advantage off of their serve. So again, I think if you're Mihaljevic and Sutter, you just have to do your best to fight it off, and, you know, don't get frustrated, don't try to press, just, you know, you're dead even here in the third set, just kind of keep doing what you're doing.
I'll take one. Thank you.
What do you think, Randy, in these conditions, the rain, do you think next we might see a waterproof ball? Is it out there?
Is there such a thing?
What comes first, a waterproof ball or indoor platform tennis?
I was just going to say the same thing.
It's funny, we here in New Jersey, where I work at Fiddler's Elbow, our director of golf for years has been a big advocate of indoor paddle, putting a roof over the court, or just doing indoor courts.
You know, a number of years ago, a couple of us were actually looking at an opportunity to put a couple of courts in a warehouse. Didn't work out. Gotta have pretty high ceilings.
Yeah.
Townsend would like that one back.
Randy, that year the good news for you though was it was a beautiful winter and you really didn't need the indoor, so it was, maybe it played out for the best.
Exactly. Now that worked out, but there's an example of where I would have liked to have seen Mihaljevic just to let that ball drop a little lower.
Yep.
And push it flat and firm.
I'll go.
And again, so far in the last couple of games, again, to my point earlier that, you know, Mihaljevic and Sutter are really having to work on their serve, where Ncube and Townsend are holding a little bit easier.
Well, as we discussed before they ever started, Ncube and Townsend have, you know, big kick serves, a lot of cut on them, and the way that those balls behave off of this wet court is very different than the flatter serve that both Mihaljevic and Sutter have.
Sorry. I'll go.
Just a reminder, if you're recently tuning in, we are live at the Ridgewood Classic in Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus, New Jersey. The players on the court serving is Mihaljevic, and her partner up at the net with the white vest on is Jolene Sutter, and they are taking on, to the top left of your screen, Michelle Ncube, who's a pro over at the Essex Fells Country Club in Essex Fells, New Jersey, and her partner is Camille Townsend over on the right top of your screen, and she is a pro at Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova, Pennsylvania.
But there's a great example of Mihaljevic cutting it too thin.
There's no reason in this to do that.
Yeah, taking that ball down the middle or right at Ncube would have been a much smarter, less risky play, and probably would have yielded a pretty good result, forcing Ncube to move. And instead, she tried to play it too thin and hit it out.
And again, it's easy for us to say that from sitting here watching the match, but, you know, I think the players have to understand the conditions, you know, the point in the match that we're at, and, you know, again, it's, with the bad weather, every point I think becomes even more important. You know, if starting this third set, you could have came out and just won 24 points in a row, I mean, that's the way you want to do it.
Well, make no mistake, Dave, I'm a minus 12 PTI when I'm sitting in the booth. Not so on the court.
All right, so we've had 5 holes to serve here.
I don't know about cozy. Yeah.
We like that. Our chair umpire, Carol Yurtsin, with the varsity attitude that she's cozy up there.
That is maybe the biggest hood I've ever seen, by the way.
It might look like one of the hoods on the cloaks in an old Star Wars movie.
Again, great lobbing from Sutter and Mihaljevic. Except there. Again, I need to keep my mouth shut.
Good choice there by Townsend. Maybe not the most sporting shot on a friendly Saturday afternoon game, but in the quarterfinals of the Ridgewood Classic, that was exactly what she needed to do. Get there by Mihaljevic and Sutter. Keep back-to-back great gets, keeping this point going.
There's that shot we were talking about. Low, flat, right at her, make her move out of the way.
And you saw that by the time Sutter jumped to her left and the ball's kind of kicking to the right. It's a hard shot to get.
All right, another hold.
6 in a row. If I were a betting man, I'm going to say that there's going to be a hold coming up. I was about to say, if we get another hold, can we just go right to the tiebreaker?
Well,
Randy, what do they say? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think that caught the outside of the line. Wow. And it's interesting because right now Love 40 has been all set up by big drives by Ncube. Or just returns in general. Townsend's had a really big return and Ncube had a big return.
goes back to what we were saying earlier, styles of Ncube and Townsend versus Mihaljevic and Sutter. More Sutter. It's got a softer, flatter, sort of where Ncube and Townsend have big, cutting serves that in these conditions just are a huge advantage.
Yep. I'll tell you what, this is the first lead that Ncube and Townsend have had in this match. And I remember, I don't know how long ago I said it, where, you know, 4-2 in the bad weather, Ncube Townsend needed to break serve, and they did, and here we are, they're serving a break up.
Well, I am going to blame you for Sutter losing that game because you called a hold before she ever started.
I did, and now here we go, 2 faults in a row. It's Love 30. Ladies, what are we doing? I was on a roll. I think I got 2 things right. Now I'm back to square one. Say, I do like that, you know, Townsend faulted to start the game 2 points in a row, but the next 2 serves she went just as big. You know, I think they're starting to see, or they know based on experience, that how big this serve is going to play in this weather and in this match.
30-40.
Those are great overheads in these conditions. Making Sutter move, getting her on her heels. But Sutter did a beautiful job defending.
that overhead was out.
Set is tied. 4 games all.
And we have two breaks to serve back to back after 6 holds. Randy, on that last game, I was going to let everyone know that if Ncube Townsend came back to win that game, the record for most faults in a game and still winning the game is 12 by Ned Benedict of the Short Hills Club.
Is that a statistic that he's proud of, or wishes you'd never mentioned?
I think he shakes his head with a smile. So I guess he would have to. I think there's mixed emotions.
Understandable. Oh, that's a great spot. And that's back to what you were saying earlier. She didn't have to go for too much. She just did a nice job placing that ball.
Right. I was going to say she hit a great lob down the line, pulled Mihaljevic over to the right, and just hit a half-pace drive to a spot. She didn't try to beat Mihaljevic. Like that, I think Ncube was trying to win the point off of that shot. Where I think take a little bit off that, worst case they get it off the back screen, but again, you're back at the net.
What a dig. But that's the same thing there, right? She
Right.
A little too big, unnecessary. That's deep.
Did it get sunny here that all of a sudden that the returners are having the advantage again?
I think the moment is getting to these players. They're all playing a little tighter.
Again, there's that overhead into the body of Ncube, causing an error there from the good overhead by Mihaljevic.
Great positioning by Sutter, just unlucky. But that's protect her partner. She just got unlucky. And she did it again, this time with success.
I had a thought in my head before that return of serve, and I'm going to share it if Ncube and Townsend win this point.
Good hands. All right.
All right, you ready for my
promised.
thought? I would love to see Townsend lob this ball down the line.
Look at you.
And the reason I said that was just because she had been driving so many balls, and Sutter is doing such a good job of cutting that ball off down the middle that you maybe would have been able to get her off balance a little bit. But to Sutter's credit, she was ready for it and hit a good overhead. But now going forward, if it makes you think a little bit. So Randy, an hour ago.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
An hour ago, would you have thought you would have been saying Ncube Townsend serving for the match?
Not on a bet.
They've done a really good job of, like I said, they were down 4-2, I believe, in the second set. They did a good job of hanging around, hanging in there, and getting it clutching. Now you look at they're up ahead in this set. You see the points won, the percentages have gone up. With our match statistics brought to you by Court Director. Right, and again, I know I said it, Mihaljevic Sutter with 2 points away and 30 love from winning the match in the second set. Here we are with Ncube and Townsend on the verge of potentially winning this in 3. And if they do, you have to give them, again, a lot of credit for sticking around, hanging around, not getting impatient. You know, again, I think some uncharacteristics or unnecessary, unforced errors have come in here and there. But, you know, I think for the most part, Ncube and Townsend have really kind of slowed the game down a little bit in the last, you know, set and tiebreaker.
They've taken a few fewer risks.
Wow, what gets by Mihaljevic over in that corner?
I don't want to take anything away from that rundown that Sutter had on that drop shot.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty impressive, and she did something with the ball too, which was, you know, hard to do when you're moving. Wow, great drive.
That was an amazing shot.
Wow, I gotta say, Mihaljevic and Sutter earned that point.
They almost deserve 2.
Everything they've got, yeah.
They should almost get 2 for it.
15-30.
So I like
Them
this
on the
pattern
position
right
right
there.
now.
Like, I like this pattern by Sutter about, you know, the lobs and the drives. The only thing I would want to see differently is when, you know, Ncube hit the overhead and she's off the net. I would like her to hit the drive. Don't let Townsend hit the drive or the volley from being on top of the net. I'm just a big believer in, you know, if you hit a really good lob and you get an opportunity to hit a drive, hit it back at the person who hit the overhead. If you, you know, if you hit a good lob and they hit a good overhead back to you, lob it over the person that didn't hit the overhead because they're going to be closer to the net.
Great move by Sutter. That ball must have caught overspray on the line there. Really?
First set time. 5 games all.
All right, Dave, what are we thinking?
I told you, let's just go to the tiebreaker. Randy, listen, I have to be honest with you. I might be too tired to call the next match. I'm physically exhausted from watching this. I don't have any more nails left to bite. Like, this has been a pretty fun match to watch. Going back and forth, back and forth.
15 left.
So this is, and it's funny how after all this time, all these points, all these matches, you know, Mihaljevic and Sutter were 2 points away from winning the match. Ncube and Townsend were 3 points away from winning the match, maybe 2, and here we are at 5-all, and everything's back to square.
Playing paddle.
So basically, right now they're playing two out of 2 matches to win.
Sutter's last service game, she went out and owed in love, I believe.
Yeah,
and
she
so
did.
she's done a nice job turning this run around. Great hands from everybody. But back to what you were saying before, what got them into that situation where they had to defend was going back and forth with their overheads instead of staying organized in a pattern where they can hold their positions. Michelle would like that one back. Good. Terrific lob. I was just to say that I really liked the overheads that they were hitting right there. Low, slow, not doing anything fancy, and then Ncube got carried away.
Yeah, that was one of the first.
Risk.
I think that was one of the first rushed points that we've seen out of Ncube and Townsend in some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't believe Townsend has lost her serve yet in this set.
Like, am I serving?
No, I think she did her last service time.
Did she lose it?
Yeah, there were
Can I take one?
there were a couple of faults that crept in there, and
You good?
Randy, I think everyone out there watching I think this is what they call in sports as a seesaw battle.
Oh my God, Mateo. Let's go. Okay. Right back. One at a time. Here we go. Right here.
That's smart
Yeah.
overhead.
Good shot.
And that seems to be the one that's been working. At the body, make him jump out of the way.
She let that ball drop nice and low. Hit it right at her.
And I think we've seen throughout this, the later stages of this match, kind of when the weather started becoming effective, where the more linear the overhead's been, the more effective, meaning, the more they've been pushing out and lower has been more effective than hitting down on the ball and shorter.
Well, Dave, you called it. We should have just gone straight to the tiebreaker.
That's it. Our, I'm sure Louis Vauclair is chomping at the bit to get out here on the court. See, that's the one I talked about earlier. Like, if Townsend didn't know 1,000% she was getting that into the side screen, just go straight ahead. So like you see, Randy, on that overhead, Townsend gets it into Mihaljevic's side screen, a lob comes back. She doesn't get it into the side screen, and a cross-court two-handed backhand winner comes.
Great move.
Mihaljevic, Sutter! Mihaljevic, Sutter leads 3 points to 0.
Mihaljevic is dialed in right now.
Yeah, that was a good point. Mihaljevic kind of took over right there on that point and played a really good, smart point, solid point, great skills there at the net. That's big, winning two points on the serve.
Point, Mihaljevic, Sutter! Mihaljevic, Sutter 4-0.
All right, Randy, it's like deja vu. Mihaljevic, Sutter are 2 points away from winning this match.
Been here before.
We have.
I'm not putting my chips on the table just yet. That's a great serve.
All right, you needed to get 1 to get to 2. Here we go. All right, so we have several match points here. And I think, Randy, if you watch the last couple of points as tiebreaker, Mihaljevic has done a really good job of driving the ball and kind of moving in to cause pressure. And then throwing an amazing get right there, and here we are, 6-1.
That's a great drive to pull out the match in 3 sets. Sutter and Mihaljevic, 7-6 in the third. What a great match, Dave.
Yeah, no, you know, again, look at the match statistics.
We're not going to leave you up there.
Kind of went back and forth a little bit.
1 point difference.
Yeah, 1 point difference. I mean, great match, fun to watch. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all I have for you, Randy.
All right. Thanks, Dave. We'll
We
be
need a picture.
back here shortly, everyone. If you want to stay tuned, we'll be right back with the
I actually don't know where
men's
my phone went. I'm
quarterfinal with Garcia Nieto and Quintana against Friedrich and Vauclair, right here on the APTA network.
3 hours.
I was gonna say it's okay, but it's not okay.
You gotta text that to me. I gotta show.
A lot of founders start out with an idea, maybe in a garage, in a shared workspace, and really being a co-pilot along that whole journey from ideation to execution to maybe monetization one day is really the role we've decided to take in the marketplace. So I feel like we have really found a part of the market and offering that just really hasn't existed. It's this coaching, it's therapy, it's co-piloting on a journey that is unique.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.